All right, we're going to break down a pretty intense personal story about an investment scam. We'll walk through exactly how it started, how the scammer pulled it off, and the devastating impact it had. Because by understanding this one person's experience, we can start to see a much bigger, more dangerous pattern. This one sentence right here is the absolute key to the entire scam. It's not really about greed or someone being naive. It's about taking something we all depend on every single day, trust, and turning it into a weapon. And that's exactly where the door gets opened. So, how does something like this even begin? Well, it doesn't start with a shady email or some random cold call from a number you don't know. Nope. It starts in the most innocent, disarming way you can imagine. And that is the scammer's masterstroke. This woman, Ghazala Din, she didn't have to kick down any doors. A friend had already opened it right up for her. You know that natural skepticism, that little wall we put up with strangers? It was completely gone from the very first hello. Just listen to the language she's using. It's all designed to make you feel safe and confident. Years of experience. Okay, that sounds legitimate. Guaranteed returns. Well, that gets rid of the risk. So many people are benefiting. That's social proof, right? It makes you feel like you're missing out. And then I can help you too. Makes it all feel personal. It is a perfectly polished pitch meant to calm any nerves you might have. So once that first investment is in, the scam shifts into its second, absolutely crucial phase. This is the part where the con artist doesn't just promise you'll make money, they actually make it look like you are. This timeline is just brilliant and completely deceptive. For 2 whole months, everything works exactly like she said it would. The payments show up, the profit is there, that promise she made is now real, tangible proof in a bank account. So now the victim isn't just trusting the scammer anymore, they're starting to trust their own experience. After building that solid foundation of trust, the scammer makes the next big move. And it's not even presented as a risky pitch. It's just simple, obvious logic. Hey, you've seen it work with a little bit of money, so why wouldn't it work even better with a lot more? And right here, this is the turning point. Based on what looks like solid, undeniable evidence, the victim sends a much, much larger amount of money. That first small investment, that was just the bait. This bigger amount was the real prize. The trap was officially sprung. So, with a lot more money now in the pot and the promise of even bigger returns on the horizon, what do you think happened next? The very moment that larger sum of money is transferred, the entire game changes. That carefully built illusion starts to crack, and then it just shatters completely. And just like that, poof, the guaranteed money, it's gone. It's absolutely no coincidence that this happens the second after the big investment goes through. The scammer has what she came for. Now the goal isn't to build trust anymore, it's just to stall and, eventually, to disappear. All of a sudden, that super confident, smooth-talking investor is gone, and in her place is someone who is just buried in endless, complicated problems. Notice how the excuses get more and more wild, more far-fetched. The point isn't even to be believable anymore. It's just to confuse you, to frustrate you, and to wear you down. You can just feel the emotional whiplash here. The victim goes from feeling hopeful and certain to this slow, creeping horror. That confidence they felt just 1 month earlier completely curdles into that sick feeling of betrayal as it finally hits them, I've been scammed. And here's the final, just gut-wrenching twist. That friend, the person whose recommendation started this whole thing, they weren't in on it. They were just victim number 1, tangled up in the very same web of lies. Okay, so let's zoom out now and look at how this one personal nightmare actually reveals a very clear, recognizable pattern, a blueprint for how these cons operate everywhere. As soon as the victim started digging around, they found out this wasn't a one-time thing. Not even close. This was a systematic operation. Ghazala Din had used the same story, the same method, on tons of other people, creating this whole network of victims who all thought they were alone in this. What looks like total chaos is actually a highly structured plan. This is the scammer's playbook, step by step. First, use a friend to get in the door. Then you make an impossible promise of guaranteed returns. Step 3, you pay out a little bit of money to make it all seem real. Once that trust is locked in, you pressure them for the big score. And finally, you throw up a smokescreen of excuses and you vanish.
And this really brings us back to the heart of the whole thing. Yeah, losing the money is awful, but it's the psychological damage that cuts the deepest. It's that feeling of being played for a fool, of having your trust in another person, and maybe even in your own judgment, just completely shattered. That's the wound that takes the longest to heal.
This entire story just goes to show how easily something as good as trust can be twisted and used as a weapon, which leaves us with a really tough final question. In a world where we have to trust people to function, how do we build a shield to protect ourselves without just closing ourselves off from everyone?